Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I'm super pumped. I'm really excited. I'm actually a little bit nervous because this is a new thing for us. And I know I love trying new things. It's what we advocate for. And here we are doing something new. So I've got 4 incredible young leaders with me that have been through the Australian Student Leadership Conference over the past couple of years. Each in their own right have taken away some incredibly valuable skills and continue to come back and give us their energy, their passion, their commitment, and their fun vibes to offer the experience for all these young people that come through the doors each year. I thought maybe we'd just start with a really quick intro. So if you wanted to shout out your name, the year that you went to conference, and possibly the role that you held. Josh, take it away for us.
G'day guys, I'm Josh, and in 2019 I graduated and I was the college captain.
Amazing, thank you. Declan, over to you.
Hello guys, my name's Declan. I graduated last year, 2020, and I was the Co-Curricular sport captain.
Incredible. Another 2020 graduate. Danielle, over to you.
Yes, hello, I'm Danielle, and I also graduated in 2020, and my role was co-college captain.
Amazing. Finish us off.
Morning. G'day. My name's George. I graduated in 2018 and I was a house captain.
Unreal. So as you may or may not know, ASLC is for any leadership position that you may hold, but it's also for any student that feels like they'd like to develop their leadership further. They might not have to be or wear a badge because at yLead we know that leadership is not about badge, title or position, but it's about the actions and the influence that you have on the people around you every day. So I was thinking where to start, and I thought, why not start with if there's been some shifts in the experiences in regards to like thoughts, feelings from the first day that you walked into conference to leaving on the last day. And I guess sometimes people think like, oh, is it going to be what I expect? Danielle, would you like to talk to us on that?
Absolutely, yeah. Conference is not what I expected at all to start off with. I think when you hear the word leadership conference, you expect something quite formal and quite serious, but ASLC was definitely such an incredible environment, so energizing, so vibrant, all the vibes all the time, 24/7. And I think from the first day to the third day, there was a massive shift in my perspective on leadership, my personal kind of leadership experience. I think that it was a massive learning and growth process for me, even just within those 3 days. And I think it was a massive catalyst for my learning and growth throughout year 12 as well as a leader. So yeah, it's definitely something that challenged me and made me realize that leadership is not something you have to know all about to be a leader. You know, it's like I'm constantly learning about leadership literally every day. So it was a nice reminder and an awesome way to start the year.
Yeah, thank you so much, Danny. I can see lots of heads nodding there as you're speaking. So Declan, I'm going to pass over to you. Anything that you'd like to add there, but also perhaps what would you say to someone that might be a little bit nervous about stepping into the ASLC environment, or whether they were unsure if the conference is for them? Maybe they're worried about, I don't know, being supported when they step outside their comfort zone, whether it's going to be inclusive, what it involves. Would you like to talk any of our listeners through that?
I'd love to. So the big thing for me with comfort zones is you're going to be put outside your comfort zone, like as a leader. It's just something that's going to happen, and it's probably the best way to grow as a person is to challenge yourself and put yourself out there. So I think if you're really worried about being put out of your comfort zone in your senior year, you're going to, and the conference creates a really good environment to practice that. It's really safe. Everyone supports you, from mentors, other students. And yeah, you'll find it becomes easier and easier. And yLead really helps with that.
Thanks so much. Again, lots of nodding heads there that resonate with what you're saying, Declan. Thank you. George, if I was a student leader and I was going to attend ASLC, what do you think possibly would be the most valuable, most exciting part of conference for me?
Yeah, the most valuable thing, I believe, for me in my experience with ASLC was the actual like action planning and goal setting at the end on day 3, because it almost gives you like a head start on the year. It's like, if we didn't have that session, we'd be going into like week 1 and week 2, we'd be planning for the whole year. Whereas like we've already done that and we know our team dynamic, so we can just kick into it straight in week one. Because if you really think about it, like sometimes students will, or the seniors will go on in term 3 and then term 4 it'll be taken over by the other leaders. So you got to make the most of what you can and the time that you have. So being able to plan for that prior to start of term 1 was really valuable. And I think the other thing that I was really excited for leaving conference was knowing that I have such a great support network as well. Not only my group at ASLC that I became friends with and spent the whole conference with, but just everyone that I spoke to during the time I was there at ASLC. Because if I was either stuck on ideas or I didn't know what to do in a situation, I could actually reach out to them for a bit of help and like advice as well. So having that support network was something that I really valued outside of conference as well. And I was excited to, catch up with them throughout their year as well and see how they were going. So.
Thanks so much, George. I think that's one of the scariest parts of being a leader, isn't it? It's like not everyone at your school holds a leadership position, and there's a lot of challenges sometimes with your friends accepting the role and the sacrifices that you have to make. And so knowing that there's other people out there that you can talk to that are going through the same thing, that might have some of the same challenges, is incredible to know that, that exists. Danielle, I'm going to throw to you from your perspective. What was a highlight of conference or something that you really felt is most valuable, but would love you to describe it? So as you said, you think leadership conference is not quite what it is when you rock up. It's very different. Is there a day or a night or an event that you could describe to us that might bring some of that vibrancy alive?
Yeah, I think for me, quite a specific moment for me was one of the nights of conference, and it was just a moment after the activities that were run by the facilitators. My squad and I, so the group that I was allocated with, kind of just had a moment to talk about what we'd just experienced, and we were kind of all just chatting. And it's probably not as vibrant as the rest of conference, but it was just a really nice kind of precious moment. We all just were looking at each other, just appreciating everyone's vulnerability, everyone's differences, how unique and special our group was. And I think that was, as George was saying, it was a really valuable moment because you kind of knew like, wow, I came to this leadership conference expecting to kind of do work, but I'm literally staring at all of these beautiful friends that I've just made and, we'll probably keep in contact with for years into the future. And so, it was quite shocking because it's not what I expected, as I was saying before, but it was also just a really beautiful moment to share with practically strangers that had suddenly just become some of my closest friends. So I think it was really valuable to leave knowing that I had made some awesome friendships and to know that it was more than what I thought leadership was. I kind of came to realize that leadership was about connections, was about being yourself, was about listening to others, accepting everyone's differences. And that was just, a massive shift, like I was mentioning earlier as well.
So well said. Thank you. You make me want to be in the room again and experiencing that with everyone. But not long to go. 76 days. I did the calculation today. So that's pretty exciting till our first 2022 conference. Josh, you are a very good storyteller. Would love to handball to you for a moment in time at conference that if you could relive it again and again and again, what does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? Something that perhaps these students or teachers or parents that are listening could look forward to for their young person.
Yeah, for sure. The one that comes to mind immediately for me is on the first night having Funky Town. And throughout that first day, I was in a similar boat to a lot of people. I was feeling, a little bit unsure of myself in the space and feeling a lot like Danielle was in terms of going through the motions and thinking that it was going to be a lot of work. And then I remember vividly walking out into the open courtyard and seeing everybody dressed up in all of these costumes. And there was this buzz in the air of this wacky excitement that everyone was just dressed in these amazing colors. And then shortly after that, there was dancing, and everyone who had been feeling that, self-consciousness prior to that, I felt like for me, that just all disappeared and we were all just dancing, having a good time to the music. And it was that moment that I was like, yeah, okay, this isn't like the standard leadership camp stuff that I've done in the past. This is this is something different. This is something special. So that's probably, that first night for me was really cool.
Yeah, very cool. It's a great moment seeing everyone dressed up in their costumes, and no matter what you bring works. I think that's the cool part about it, is everyone's different interpretations of what funky retro or unique is. And I feel like that depicts leadership for us, as well as appreciating that, you know, leadership is different for everyone too. So Declan, Josh mentioned something there that I wanted to ask you about. You also spoke about, you know, this being supported outside your comfort zone, and it's something that as a leader we need to get used to, and we need to get better being uncomfortable with those situations, or being comfortable with the uncomfortable situations. Can you let us know about who's there on conference to sort of support you through that, and in regards to mentors and team, and how you would describe the yLead team and the mentors that are there, and if there's even a mentor that you wanted to give a shout out to from your experience as well?
So George, who is also today, it was my mentor. And yeah, he was amazing, and he's just like everyone else. So you get put in a squad about afternoon of day one, and that squad is basically like a support network. You have your own mentor who's there to look after you, and they would be the most friendly person. I know everyone who went to the conference at my school still keeps in touch with their mentor, and it's just amazing because they actually do care about you, and they put the time after it. Like George texted me pretty much every week to give me a rundown about what happened throughout the year. Sorry. And yeah, it's just a really good relationship, and it makes you feel really safe and comfortable.
Yeah, so good. Thank you. Josh, I wanted to mention you and your leadership and your mentorship. I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before, but off the back of conference, you actually initiated something to sort of celebrate gratitude, and sort of and knowing that as a leader, our days can be quite overwhelming. And so providing young people with a tool and skill and an outlet to kind of regroup. Do you want to share a little bit about that with us?
For sure. I remember after conference that year, I think it was my first year as a mentor. So that would have been, 2020. And I, like Declan had said, was still very close with a lot of my squad members, and we would chat quite frequently. And a lot of them expressed this, need to express their own gratitude. And they would often share that with me, but I thought that what they were saying was so powerful that it needed to be shared with others. And so I set up just a Facebook group chat, and then made a little post and said anyone who wanted to jump in and share once a week 3 things that they were grateful for that week. And I think it was called Mindfulness and Meditation. And it could have been, 3 of the smallest things. Someone said hi to you that you didn't expect to when you were walking down the corridor at school, or, something really big. And I think that was around this time that we had started to go into our first lockdown, and reading through those gratitudes that everyone was sending and posting weekly in that group was really, really special, because it's just contagious. It makes you appreciate the world around you far more than, when you're not actively looking for those things. So yeah, that was a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, thank you. I remember it coming through, and I was like, yes. And I know this year, Danielle, you've been involved in quite a few kind of initiatives off the back of conference. Do you want to talk through some of those and the connection that this year's participants have had?
Yeah, of course. So I think, we always create a Facebook group after each conference. And as Josh was saying, it was so nice to, I guess, stay in contact. He was one of the mentors that I had in my conference. And I know for me, that was such a lovely feeling to know that that community was always still there. And so I guess it was something I wanted to emulate this year, and make sure that my participants kind of felt that same sustained connection throughout their year. And I guess, just weekly check-ins with my squad was always a nice way to keep them involved and make sure that they were going well throughout another crazy year. And just remaining active throughout the Facebook group as well was something that I was mindful of. And similar to what Josh was doing, I would often share something that I was grateful for. I think that's something that a lesson that I took away from conference was being unafraid to kind of focus on the small things as really positive, important, and powerful things that happened every day. And I guess it was a reminder for me as well that I also had a community, just like the participants did, to express feelings and to appreciate one another. So yeah, it was lovely to pass that on as well, I think. And I hope the participants got the same feeling I did last year.
Yeah, so good. And thank you for doing that. George, I'm going to throw to you. We keep talking about participants, but who am I going to meet? Like, what are the students like? Are they all from the same kinds of schools, or is there a lot of diversity? Is there, people from different locations? Can you kind of describe what I can expect from the other participants there at conference?
Yeah, well, I think we've touched on nerves and nervousness like earlier on and what we've spoken about, but like I would expect, and what I expected as a participant, like as I walked through the doors, I was like, these people are going to be nervous as well, because like they're in the same boat as I am. Like I'm a very nervous person myself, but like there are other people that are going to be feeling the same. So that's okay. But in terms of people you'll meet, like there's literally so many different people, like it's crazy. There's quite a few schools that are like all boys schools, there are all girls schools, there are co-ed schools that are from all over the place. Like I went to Southeast Queensland and there was people from Brisbane, the sunny coast, Gold Coast, even inland from Toowoomba. There were some that flew down from Rockhampton as well. So there's heaps of diversity and heaps of different mindsets, attitudes, and advice to be, discovered, and so much potential that is out there within our leaders and schools. So there's heaps of different people that you meet and so many new friends to have as well.
Yeah, so good. And I'm just going to throw an open question out there. Anyone want to throw their hand up to answer? I guess the question is like, why is that important? Why do you think we emulate that at conference for a leader? Go for it, Josh.
The thing for me that I found so important with that was because it creates a space where you wouldn't otherwise get to interact with people like that. Like George said, there were people in my conference in Victoria all over the place, people from 4 hours away that had we not been at that same conference at the same time, I would never have met them. I would never have been able to share their ideas and, exchange stories and all of that. And I think that is why it's so special and important, is because you will meet so many people who are strangely similar because they go in with an open mind and this wants to learn and to share and to give, but also so different. And that is what creates the strength, is because everyone has something different they can offer and layer on top. And you just get this community of people that you would otherwise have never have met. And together you are so powerful, and it's really cool.
So well said. Danny, do you want to add anything to that? I guess, as leaders, we lead so many different kinds of people as well. And do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I completely, it made me a bit emotional there, Josh. It's like, it's so true, because as I mentioned before, like my squad was quite different, just in the sense that we all had different passions. We had like really random interests. A few of us were interested in music, but like even just the music taste was a bit shocking to me as well. But like, just even those small differences, it's crazy to think that, Josh, exactly as you were saying, like we all just happened to be in that moment at the one time. And it's like, okay, cool. You're just thrown into the deep end, really, meeting some people you wouldn't have otherwise met. So I think it was wonderful to interact with them and to also, I guess, learn the different ways you can accept others. I think it was part of my purpose statement, which is something that we develop at yLead, to become more authentic in my accepting of others and my welcoming of others. And I think a lot of that was because of how different everybody was at conference. You have no other option but to learn about people and, to express your own interests really authentically. So I think it was, a wonderful way to, I guess, learn how to interact with people who have super random interests or similar interests, and then be able to take those skills back to your community to ensure that all of the students felt, really loved and supported in your own school community. So it's very, very special.
So good. And that's why it makes you such a great leader as well, Danielle, is that understanding and appreciation of that. Declan, why some of the schools, like your school, has been sending to ASLC for maybe over 15 years. My school, this is really embarrassing, but I went to conference in 2002, which, guys, guess what, is 20 years next year. And so my question is like, yeah, Declan, why do you think schools keep sending their students? What value do you believe they gain? And as I said, my school's been sending literally for 20 years. ASLC's been around for over 30 years now. What is it you think that the schools gain from sending and investing in their students to go along to ASLC?
Well, firstly, touching on what George said before about the ability to prep, like when we got the ability to set down a goal set, we came back to our school with so many ideas. Like our vice principal just sat there and said, "Whoa, like when did you have the time to come up with this?" And that was really powerful. And the other thing is it really prepares you, as I said before, to get out of your comfort zone and do things that you would never have done before. Like just for me, I never speak on stage. I am terrified of it. I'm a very behind the scenes person, but you'll do an activity that practices on public speaking at conference, and it prepared me so well. I was on assembly every second week and I felt so comfortable doing it. So it just takes those things that you're nervous about and it transforms them, and you become so comfortable and you back yourself. And that's the most important thing.
That's so good. I did not know that about you, because literally I remember you at conference. I reckon within the first 10 minutes you were on the microphone. There's a photo in the office of you.
Well, I had to back myself. It was all part of it. But I remember
Yeah.
the first
Get out
time
of the comfort zone.
I spoke for year 12, I was in the bathroom for 20 minutes prepping myself. It was terrifying.
That's so good. Danielle, I know your school sends, like Declan's, actually quite a lot of student leaders. Do you see value in, sending not just one or two, but a few more students, and what the benefit might be there?
Yeah, absolutely. There's, I think, 14 usually students that come to ASLC, which is quite a lot. And honestly, I think it was really great just simply to have everyone on the same page. I think firstly, it's so special to experience something like yLead with your whole leadership team. It brought us all closer together, and it allowed us to have a similar vision, which I think is one of the core things of having a leadership team, being able to share a vision and use all of your unique skills to achieve it. But I think reflecting back on it now, I think honestly some people might have felt as though they were a bit left out, or they didn't quite relate to anyone else if they didn't go. So I think all of you being able to go and actually experience that one thing together is so powerful, because you kind of move forward from that first event of the year and have that same vision the whole way through. So yeah, I think sending one or two people is great for them, but I think if they kind of went back to a whole team of other people, there might kind of be a bit of disharmony, I guess, or some vision that isn't as cohesive as it could have been if everyone was really involved in that yLead experience, just from my personal experience.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Josh, we keep talking about all this value that is given to us thanks to our schools that send us to ASLC. If there was a young person listening that their school didn't have the ability to support them and they wanted to come along on their own, we obviously really encourage them to do that. Is there some information or any thoughts that you could give them about, it's not just for school, like any skills that you feel are the most valuable that you've been able to take with you from ASLC into the real world as well?
Yeah, 100%. I've probably got a bit of a two-parter. From my experience, one of the things that I found so impactful for me as a tangible skill that I was taking away from ASLC was the ability to actively listen. For me, that was something I hadn't really come across in my leadership experience before, and it wasn't a term that I recognized. So hearing about active listening and how important that is in leadership was something that changed me and helped me grow inwardly a lot. I found that it helped me grow as a person as well as a leader, and exploring that idea of what true active listening looks like was really important for me and shaped how I think I went about my leadership throughout my year 12 year, and then, up until this point in my life as well. And then I think probably the other thing in terms of a skill that ASLC really taught me was asking for help is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. For me, I, before going to ASLC, was the type of leader that was often just like, oh, no, like, I'll do it myself. It's fine. I can do it. I can handle it. And then experiencing all of the other amazing skills and ideas that everyone else at ASLC had to offer, it was suddenly like this light bulb moment for me where I went, whoa, I have an amazing arsenal of people that I can go to for help and guidance and ideas. And, you know, I now have this network of people that I can really easily contact and connect with. And that for me was suddenly just like, yeah, use them. Like, don't let these people sit here. They are so amazing. And why wouldn't you use the facilities that you have? So yeah, asking for help, especially from people like those people who attend ASLC, is definitely a sign of wisdom, not weakness.
Some powerful words there. And you made me realize we recently held a conversation with some of our New Zealand counterparts, and one of the girls was talking about, you know, the skills that she learned from her conference at Rangatira, which is our sister program in New Zealand that we run. And she said, literally in her flat, there's, you know, 30 girls at the moment, and none of them know how to have some of these conversations that might be more difficult conversations, or recognize that when they need help, they can ask for help, or that part of when someone comes to you with a challenge, they don't necessarily want you to respond with anything, but they just want to be heard, and they want you to listen to them, and they want you to be there for them. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing those with us, and I'm really grateful that all of you are such a huge part of our yLead community, and that in 2022 there'll be some young leaders that hopefully get to meet you. But I'm tuned if you get your mentor application in, which just launched today. So that's pretty exciting.
So exciting.
Yeah. And that's a great point. You know, all our mentors on site at conference do have to apply to be there. We get inundated with applications. We have already actually received some today, and the launch was only 3 hours ago. People were like, I don't want to miss out. I want to make sure it's in. So we pick the best of the best in a unique and diverse team to support the unique and diverse young people that walk through those doors at conference. All right, to wrap us up, Danielle, I'm going to throw to you. If someone's sitting on the fence whether they should send their student, their child, or be a student to come, what are your 10 seconds, 5 seconds, one sentence of wisdom? What are you going to tell them? Why should they be there?
They should be there to have one of the most wholesome and energizing and refreshing experiences of their high school journey.
Wow, that's well said. George, why should they be there?
I think they should be there because you just get so much value out of it. And in order to grow, you got to go. So.
Ooh.
Well, that was good. Well done. Thank you.
Smooth.
Declan, over to you.
You don't just be a better leader, you become a better person by going. And I can half-heartedly say that.
Thank you. And Josh, finish it.
At the very least, you will walk away with a motivation to continue everything that is going to happen for you in year 12. And, you know, at the most, you might change your entire life like I did.
Well, thanks everyone for being here, sharing your thoughts, your experiences. And if you want to all say a g'day, see you soon, or a hello, or a goodbye, I'm going to open floor. Let's give it all a big shout out. Thanks so much for listening, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
See
you.
See ya.